The other day I was pondering in the idea of what would the Spain midfield that we saw in the Euros be if it wasn't for the pandemic, because certainly Pedri wouldn't have been there. For their final Euros qualifier game against Romania in November of 2019, the midfield was Busquets, Saúl Ñíguez and Fabián Ruiz. This was definitely not the established trio, and the other options on the bench included Thiago Alcántara, Dani Ceballos, Mikel Merino, Dani Parejo, Sergio Canales, José Campaña and even Santi Cazorla. This is when, after an incredible season with Barcelona and the Ronald Koeman, well, Pedri has been seen by Luis Enrique. He has been called up by the manager, and now that he has got him up close, he kinda likes him, and he has played every single minute of the competition so far. Today I wanna focus on his rise to stardom and what is it actually that makes him so freaking good. Pedri is a relative new superstar, but now undoubtedly everyone knows that he is a proper baller. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? Bullies here, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered. And just before we start off with this one, I want to let you know that we have released a new podcast called The Engine Room, and you can listen to it right now on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many other platforms. All the links to it are going to be in the description down below. We upload weekly, and basically we cover everything that happens in football on that week. So basically, if you want more football content, well, then you got it. And now, let's get back to Pedri. The emergence of Pedro González López, specifically a young Spanish player in the traditions of those by which Spain have for so long been recognized, represents not only one of the biggest positives of a so-traveled period for one of the world's leading nations, but one of their greatest causes for optimism. Age 17, he finally arrived at Barcelona from Las Palmas in July of 2020 for a fee of 5 million euros. He swiftly established himself in a midfield that had so long been in decline. The same has happened ever since he was called up in the Spanish national team, and well, the story is progressing ever since. Having done so as a player, the manager right now of Barcelona, Ronald Koeman, was surprised by Pedri, and he had to say the following when he first encountered the young kid. The player who surprised me the most is Pedri. I knew Barcelona had signed him from Las Palmas and I had seen tapes of him, but I don't think anyone expected the rapid speed of his development since joining. Playing and training with the best players at Barca aged just 17, delivering such high levels of performance, Pedri is a gem. The now 18-year-old midfielder was garnering the same sort of reactions when he went to the national team, and this is precisely what Luis Enrique had to say about his new talent. Pedri has everything you need to play in the midfield. His positioning is spectacular. I like the balance he has between attack and defense. Basic for any team. This statement by his manager is reinforced as we fast forward to the summer's biggest competition. Luis Enrique will be counting on his most important players to deliver, and few members of the squad have become more integral to this summer's campaign than the 18-year-old midfielder, Pedri. To understand what makes Pedri so good, first I would like to showcase exactly why is he receiving all of this praise. I know that some of you, when coming into this video, I know you're gonna be believing, I know exactly why Pedri is this amazing. But when it comes to the conversation, perhaps it's difficult to explain, because Pedri is just simply that sort of player. Pedri is one of those when you're looking into the game, it's difficult to understand, it's difficult to observe, because most of his interactions are done without the ball, and the camera doesn't really like to showcase that sort of interaction. So that's precisely what we're gonna be doing in this video, giving the right amount of credit to a player that perhaps doesn't go too much recognized. In the Euros, which are the most recent example of Pedri's magic, he regularly progressed the ball forward, often by carrying it himself, during the first two games of the group stage against Sweden and Poland. A subtle change in his positioning to play further infield made a huge difference to both his own influence and the team's result. His cutting passes helped create 3 of Spain's 5 goals in the must-win final group game against Slovakia, and then 3 more during the 5-3 extra-time defeat of Croatia in the last 16. Pedri frequently looks to drive forward with the ball at his feet and exploit spaces when the gaps open up. His 10 progressive carries per 90 minutes are only second to Italy's Marco Verratti among the remaining midfielders in the tournament to only have played 180 minutes or more. That dribbling ability has been hugely influential for both teams that he has played for, and continues to remain so for Barcelona and the national team. These both sides are common as well because there are teams that look to dominate possession and therefore confronted with having to break through low blocks of defenses and benefit from possessing strong dribblers. When linking play in the midfield, Pedri almost caresses the ball to make passes, using his instep to apply curve to evade opponents and find his targets. Many people are going to be saying that, oh, Pedri just passes forward, just passes horizontally. The passes that Pedri makes is very simple. But it's hard to get into those positions in the first place, and it's even harder when you're not a fast player. The thing is that Pedri, just his mind ticks at a very high rate, so he's always one step in front of his opponents when it comes to positioning himself to be in the right positions at the right time. Furthermore, he's capable of carrying the ball at speed and being able to change direction with great skill, ensuring he often escapes the attention of opponents without having to rely on a very fast pace. His greatest asset is instead perhaps the significant change of pace that he means him leaving opponents behind with ease before accelerating through spaces in the opponent's structure to break the lines. With all of this in mind, it's easy to see why both Luis Enrique and Koeman like Pedri so much. The kid is a sponge, a mental sponge. He has been tactically versatile in playing across multiple systems in a similar role in Barcelona within a 3-5-2, but also more centrally in a 4-2-3-1 formation as Koeman worked out his best setup. And now in a 4-3-3 with Luis Enrique as an interior, he's equally as good or even better. To convey how this tactical versatility translates into minute-to-minute gameplay, I want to take a look at the positions that Pedri has played so far in the Euros. And even though Spain has already been knocked out, I think it's worthwhile to at least recount the amazing tournament that this kid has had. In Spain's opener game against Sweden, he was positioned more like a wide midfielder, having 113 touches, the 8th most in a game by a central midfielder in the Euros. In an attempt to stretch Sweden's back line and showing just how much space Pedri had to operate in, he carried the ball 700 meters in the match, 217 meters more than the Dutch midfielder Frankie de Jong in his efforts against Ukraine, the second highest distance by a player in his position at the Euros. Here in these two previous examples, Pedri was playing as a left midfielder, but against Slovakia, where he performed equally if not better, he was slotted as a number 8, purely playing through the middle. In the final group stage game against Slovakia, where Spain had to win to progress through the knockout stages, you can see how Pedri took up more central positions throughout and occupied more of the left half space between the wing and the center of the pitch. As a result, he was instrumental in the build-up for a number of their goals in what became an easy 5-0 victory, directly having a hand in 3 of them. Spain had a lot of success in the wide areas on the day, and Pedri drifted inside meant that there was a lot of space for Alba to get in behind. This is something very surprising and even for Pedri because he's not defensively sound, but once again he interprets the game at just this young age and knows that he needs to drop inside to allow Alba to overlap. And that is crucial game understanding, something that is amazing for his age. For example, on the occasions when Spain needed to take more risks, he and Busquets have formed a double pivot as part of a 4-2-3-1, and therefore plays an increased role during their attempts to build possession instead of creating and finishing attacks. Though not naturally a defensive player, he demonstrates a reliable positional awareness that contributes to him holding his position in front of their defense and when he's selected in their double pivot. Furthermore, in the scenario that it's a teammate who wins possession, Pedri is always well placed to receive and quickly transfer it with accuracy to their attacking players. And what's more, in the case that Spain are suffering a counterattack, even Pedri is prepared to counter-press. And that's even more impressive, because Pedri is always there, humble like always to defend in the multiple areas of the pitch whenever the manager requires him to do so. When he withdraws further, Spain often adopt and defend a 4-4-2 in which he is one of the two central midfielders, and again he demonstrates the necessary awareness and work ethic required to prevent opponents from penetrating through the center of the pitch. If his progress is nurtured with the right coaching and sufficient game time at the highest of levels, he may even prove capable of reaching the heights expected of him. With all of this being mentioned, I understand, I know, Pedri's value on the ball far outweighs his current defensive frailties, but it doesn't matter when you have this prodigy on your hands that can still improve. If this was a player about 30 years of age that we needed to kind of find some limitations to finding a way of him in the team, I could understand that, but this guy is 18. He will improve and even he can get better and fix those limitations that now are that exactly limitations. In 5 years' time, they can become virtues. Even his teammates know the potential that this kid has. Let's take a look at Alvaro Morata for instance. He says, At 18 years old, having the personality and attitude that he has, there are few with that. Hopefully he will be lucky with the injuries because he will be undoubtedly one of the best players in the history of Spain. That is some certain praise indeed, and I just had to make this video because I was marveled completely by the ability of this youngster and what he had been able to do in these Euros. And even though Spain were not able to reach the final, I know that this won't be the last time that we're going to be seeing this fantastic footballer in a major international tournament. So Pedri, I guess we'll see you in Qatar 2022. That's gonna be everything for right now, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Be sure to let me know in the comment box down below. What are your opinions on Pedri? Did you enjoy his performances in the Euros? And of course, let me know what do you think of this video. If you like what you saw here today, remember to drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.